the driver's test. Many people put that as the scariest moment of some people's young lives. But for me, that's pretty much what it was. In the clubhouse, I'm TT, and I'm here to tell y'all all about my fantastic driving experience that literally just happened in the last couple of weeks. Now, when I say that, I really mean it. Most of my stories do not take place really close to the time, other than the Christmas one. But this one literally just wrapped up yesterday. Now, to get into this story, let's pull you back 6 months to when I got my permit. Y'all should have already known. I don't remember the driving video. My last driving video where I told y'all about how I did my driver's ed, and then, well, if I forgot to mention, or just to refresh you, I got my permit from that without having to do any written test. Well, here I am 6 months later, and it's time for my driving test. Now, I was nervous for, obviously, tons of obvious reasons, fear of driving, things like that. Well, let me tell you something. I'm used to driving the major 15-passenger van that you normally see, alright? And now for the 6 months, I've been super confident that I would ace the test on pure belief alone that I've never driven anything smaller than that. So it was just going to be so easy. I was just going to ease in that parallel parking thing like I owned it. I was going to be the king. There were obviously some deals that I wasn't used to. But here's something that, one thing that I had a problem with was slowing down in the little car because it was so small, so fast. I loved it. It was awesome. In the van, I am not scared, or I am scared to go fast because it's just huge. It's like driving a mini semi-truck on wheels. All right, but this was awesome, right? So I had the mini car. I mean normal size car. My bad. I keep forgetting the size proportion thing. So my mom took me to get my test just a couple days ago, and I mean, this is one of those stories that require a part 2. In the waiting room, I hate how they tell you to be quiet. You know how you're just sitting there being quiet and stuff? That moment before a test, when you're quiet, you just have this sudden fear that things might not work out. Oh, it was crazy. Horrifying. I just sat there. I had an appointment, so it was pretty easy. So when I was finally called and I had to go out, I went out there, and I gotta tell you, I prayed at least 6 times before I finally took the test. And I prayed once more before the instructor actually got out there to inspect the car. While he was inspecting the car, it was a guy, I was doing it, I was checking the lights and brakes and stuff, and I was praying again. I was like, oh, this is gonna happen. Because I really needed this, And so he finally gets in the car, and it's time to take the test. And I stopped praying so I could focus and hear what he says. And then I was told that we were going to parallel park last, just to get that. And then he's like, we're going to go ahead and get that out of the way, so why don't you go ahead and pull out of the parking lot left, and stuff like that. Did you know that instructors talk like GPSs? They talk about 50 feet before you get there. They're like, all right, you're going to go ahead and turn up left at the driveway. I asked them all. I tried to make sure I was polite and stuff like that. As a matter of fact, I hated being polite to instructors. And here's why. I try to be polite to everyone I know that contributes to society and all that, like janitors. They deserve a lot of thanks. And teachers and, officers and stuff like that. They deserve a thank you for your service deals, right? Well, I wanted to say thank you to our service because without them, no one would be driving, right? Well, I had a problem. He's like, any questions before we begin? And I was like, I just want to say thank you for your service and stuff like that. And he's like, and he started laughing. That's when I realized I kind of made it sound like I was trying to flatter him. Or I guess that's what he thought it was, because it didn't work out real well. So, that was off. So, then now the test begins. And he's like, all right, we're going to start straight off by having you do the parallel parking thing. Great! So, I go out, and I get ready for my parallel parking, and I nailed it! Yeah, I was so superb on that parallel parking thing. I nailed it. And then he's like, okay. He told me to tell him when I was done, but he didn't have to because I didn't have to because I nailed it so well. He's like, you're just going to pull out and we're just going to keep going. And I just pulled straight out. And we kept going, and it was a really relatively short drive. You know, it was a little nerve-wracking, you know, as it would be. I tried to be as cool and calm as I could because, you know, everyone does that. I hate it. They must work with, like, scared teens every day. So I tried to be as cool as possible without panicking and realizing that I don't drive cars this size very often. So I had to make sure I did right. And I actually did really well. I was scared about how I was going to mess everything up and stuff. And so there I was, driving along, and, you know, I didn't remember all the rules and stuff, and so, but I felt like I did really good. So we pull up, and he has me park, and I aced that parking spot so well. He's like, Tyson, I'm gonna level you. There are a lot of things you need to work on. Sorry, winter flu. There are a lot of things you need to work on. One thing you didn't do well was you sped in a school zone. Almost the entire course was in a school zone. He's like, I'm not allowed to pass you if you went 3 miles over. You were going 7. I wasn't used to the car and its instant brakes. In the van, the brakes are so slow. In the car, it was like instant brakes. So I tried to make sure I didn't go too, you know, on and off with brakes. So I kind of I relaxed that ride a little bit too much. So I failed my driving test. That's a hard reality to go to. But he said I could take it the following Monday, so there I was, the following Monday. Oh yeah, things got... Yeah. So now we're on Monday. Now, this time, we didn't have a scheduled appointment, so I knew we were going to have to wait for like hours, so we had to get there first, because their rule was first come, first served, which I thought was a pretty interesting rule for a business, but that's okay. So we got there, and I decided to bring along a book, because I was bored, and you're not supposed to talk in the waiting room and stuff like that. And we got there. It was kind of cold and bitter, but it was okay. We got in there, we sat down. It was me, my mom, and Johnny. And we were all just hanging out there. I have a problem with talking with other people when we're supposed to be quiet. So when other people are talking, especially in classrooms, you know, I might see like a super shy person, and it's because I'm kind of trying to follow the rules, and it just sucks. Because everyone around us was kind of talking, and there were other people talking about this stuff, and then somebody, I don't know who, but they destroyed me. They're like, well, I heard if you mess up the parallel parking deal, they'll stop you right off, and then you'll fail, and you'll have to take a test in like 30 days. What? 30 days? I can't wait 30 days. No! I couldn't wait 30 days to do my test. I'd destroy it all over again. So, you know, that kind of set in a little bit. And I had brought a book with me that I wanted to read, and the rule book, so I can just, you know, back and forth. I was reading the rule book. I didn't really need to read the rules because it was a super simple test. You didn't have to know a lot of rules, so good advice for that. You don't have to know all the rules. But apparently some other guy was like, man, that kid's super nervous. So the guy of this girl that was getting her test done, he just rolls over. He's like, hey, man, it's a cakewalk, okay? You got this. Thank you. I mean, I was just looking at this just to, you know, pass the time, but thank you. So I got to do my test again. This time it was a girl, or a woman. I guess it's a woman. And I guess, I don't know. She was more abrupt than he was. He told me like 50 yards in advance, or not 50 yards, 50 feet in advance when I would be turning and stuff, and then she was a little bit more, all right, here. They surprise you, I guess. I guess abrupt was the wrong word. They changed the tests around. They weren't much different, but she had been doing it. I'd asked her, because I wanted to see, you know. She had been doing her job for 15 years, and he'd been doing his job for about 3. So, there were some differences. Like, he put a little bit of spark in his work, but she didn't. But she was really efficient. So, you know, there were some pros and cons of having different instructors, and I gotta say, it was pretty fun. All things considered, with the high adrenaline and the whole, if I fail, this is going to suck for a whole month and I'm going to feel so bad. You know, I'd already lived the entire weekend knowing I failed my driving test. But I knew it was going to make a good story for you guys. It also delayed filming this. But, alright. I'm in the car, and I resolved this time to never go over 20 miles an hour. And that's exactly what I did. Because the highest on the speed limit was 25 miles an hour, so I never went over 20. It was a lot slower than my first test, and it felt bad. But it also felt good. So we're doing the test, and there was another thing I had messed up on. I didn't stop in time for stop signs. There's a stop sign. You know how you have to stop at the stop sign? You have to stop in front of it. I was always stopped a little bit past that. So I failed a lot on those. And the reason why is because back in Ada, a lot of the stop signs are like 15 feet behind the edge of the road, and I can't see. I forgot to tell him that habit had just stuck with me, and I accidentally, I made sure I stopped at all the stop signs, no matter how abrupt the ride was. So the ride wasn't as good as my first one, but I did good. My parallel parking was not. I did a lot worse on my parallel parking than I did before, but it didn't quit straight off the bat, so I was yay. Another thing, this is the last reason I had failed the first one, was because I didn't turn my blinkers on when I pulled out parking. Whether I was parallel parking or I parked on a curb, I forgot to turn my signal on every time. And because I never knew that, I was never taught that. Because I never had to park anywhere. When I did, I was never the one driving when I got out. And when I never parallel parked in real life. Who parallel parks in real life? Maybe in the big city, maybe. But not in Ada is somewhat of a big city, but not that big of a city, And then anywhere else, it just doesn't happen. So that's exactly what was going on. So my second test, he's like, okay, you passed! I did it! Da-da-da. Second time's the charm. Sucks for you 3. Boom. So yeah, I got my driver's license just yesterday. I thought I was going to get the long, wide one, but I did not. And, alright, I'm going to go ahead and level with you guys. I don't really want to, but you're not allowed to have your hat with you. So, yay. But, yeah, that's it. But I've been getting cool haircuts, and so this is my latest one. This is my haircut. I made a mistake when I took my driver's license photo. I leaned like this. So it kind of made it look like I had one side cut and the rest wasn't. So it sucked. Delete that. Anyway, from your memory forever. So that's my story. If you guys, so I guess future advice for future drivers taking the test. Be calm. Be cool. Stop for all stop signs. Don't speed. Just watch your speed. Watch the school zones too. Even if school isn't in session, you got to follow the speed limit. It wasn't in school. So, but hey, turn your blinkers on. Just relax. Relax, relax, relax. That is the biggest thing you can do, okay? Just take a breath, breathe, and then just, make sure you know the rules. If you know the rules etched in your memory, you've got this, But the only downside is it's made me a backseat driver now. So, when I'm driving with my mom or my dad, I'm like, all right, turn your blinker on and make a left. So, that's been pretty fun. Hope you all enjoyed. I'll see you guys next month. Still following the same schedule, 3 videos a week. Hope you guys enjoy. I got lots of cool stuff coming out, including the Can I series. I want to bring that back. We need to bring that back. See y'all next time. Goodbye. The brand new driver says bye.